Hello and welcome to this video, which is the story of the tarot, the major arcana, the story that can help you understand how to actually read tarot. If you understand what's happening, it's not the best way to learn tarot, in my personal opinion, to memorize the meanings of the cards. That can come with time and practice, but the best way to really internally understand what you're seeing is to know the story behind. So, card number one, not really number one, but the first card of the major arcana is card zero. This is the Fool card. Zero is a beginning point, it's emptiness, it's nothingness, it's a space that can be filled, it's a point in time and space through which a perspective begins developing. Not until card number one is there actually an ego or a self to speak of. In card zero, the Fool is a pure energy. This is before you're even incarnated into this world, before you have an identity of your own. You're the Fool in your mother's womb. You know nothing. You know nothing but blind trust. And trust isn't even a concept. You know only what is, that you are safe and enveloped in a warm womb that's giving you everything you need, nurturing your life. So, this is the best possible start for a Fool to set out on a journey. I wonder what else there is. I wonder what comes next. So, cue this white rose. Rose is the highest frequency of the natural world. And I say that this is so closely linked to motherhood, the rose in itself, with the fact that there's thorns and petals, that there's beauty and pain. This is the experience of birth. There's beauty and pain, there's potential, and there's endings. The sun coming out and shining here is the vitality that the Fool needs, the energy that the Fool needs, also represented in this yellow color here, which does link to the solar plexus. It's the will being birthed into the world. These waves and mountains in the back, to me, they're both, excuse me, these waves and mountains in the back are an indication of the upheaval and the challenges inherent along the way. The cliff, that's a very sharp drop off here, warns of the downfalls and the failures that will be inherent on the journey of experiencing life for the first time. In his satchel, he has all of the tools needed or has the space to gather those tools, however you'd like to interpret that. And this is what the best part of tarot is an interpretation of all of the symbols as you understand them. Also in the Fool card, the symbolism of this white dog. This is spirit as an ally, partnership of non-human forces that are loyal, that are loving, that are also equally excited and optimistic about life. And the red feather in his hat also links towards the spirit or the soul wanting to come through and animate. This really reminds me of Aries as the first sign of the zodiac. We come through with the fire element primarily, the soul and the passionate desire to actually come to life, to animate. So the Fool sets out on a journey to have experience, period. There are no expectations. He just is going forward, not knowing what's happening. Now, what's interesting about the Fool card is that he's facing backwards, not forwards. This is a reminder that the cycle is a cycle. It repeats over and over again. So his face going this way reminds us of the World card that comes at the end. But it's not the end because this isn't the beginning. Zero. It's a full circle. The journey repeats over and over and over again. And each time that you travel the journey, if you're open to new experience, if you remain teachable, if you remain curious and optimistic, you can spiral upwards on this journey, experiencing a greater and deeper sense of joy, curiosity, fulfillment, excitement, peace, love, acceptance, you name it. if we choose to take this journey, just adding burden after burden and allowing our perspective to be skewed and pushed down, and where it detracts from the power that we have in our passionate heart to take our will, which I'll get to in the next card. I might wait till I get to the next card, but I'll finish my thought. The Fool reminds us that it's our choice how we want to travel this journey. It's not determined for us yet. There are circumstances and events that are fated, but we always have free will. And the most powerful free will is how we choose our perspective, which brings us now to the Magician card. The Magician, card number 1, continues the Fool's journey by now coming to its first understanding of, oh, I was given the tools that I need for this journey. I'm going to link the minor arcana in here because throughout the journey of each of the suits of the minor arcana, it begins with an ace card in which a hand is coming out of a cloud, handing one of these symbols, each representing a component of the human experience: passion, spirit, will, drive, action with the wands, thought, clarity, meditation, peace of mind with the sword, emotions, the feeling state, the experience state with cups, and the physical body, the tangible world, the practical, grounded, mundane with the pentacle. The magician has all of these tools on his sacred space. This is an often overlooked symbol in the Magician card. This is talking about be grounded at home. What's your home base? Where do you come from? Where do you belong? Where do you return to? What is a good starting off point for you? The magician organizes himself with all of these tools, sees all of these tools, considers them, brings them to mind in his beautiful garden that's filled with a variety of all sorts of things that want to grow. He uses his willpower to choose with this baton in his hand where he wants to direct his will, to what aim. And I'm sorry, but I will say he, she, as I look at these figures, because I know that this fool's journey is taken by all people. Whether it's a fool's journey or a hero's journey is up to you, and whether you can see yourself in all of the archetypes: male, female, androgynous, child, older being, even the animal aspects of the tarot. All of us are all of these. There is no he or she or exclusive to genders or types of people. No. All of these archetypes are present in all of us in various ways. So there is no exclusivity there, just as an aside. So the magician directs his will, knowing that he has all the tools to bring to fruition what he wants to see. This is the key card of manifesting. Now, here's the best part of this card: purity. Purity in the center. This does not mean no badness. This does not mean no fault. It means purity, knowing that all of my good and badness makes me human. My whole human self is pure. And from this place of self-acceptance, self-understanding, a healthy perspective of ego is where we can be our best magician self. When we cast nothing out, when we involve everything in the garden in our intention to manifest peace or whatever it is, we have the most power when we include it all. The infinity symbol. Nothing is left out. Everything is included in the one. The magician is the all-encompassing card that links above and below, within and without. Which brings us to the next card, which is the High Priestess, card number 2 of the Major Arcana. So this is the first card of the within. The High Priestess is the intuition, the water, and the moon. In astrology, the position and placement of your moon indicates your relationship with your feeling state and your subconscious. That is the domain of a high priestess, the feeling state, the intuition. Can you intuit how to pass through whatever doorway, gateway, veil that is preventing you from nurture, abundance, sensuality? Can you be both merciful and just, as is represented with the pillars here? Do you understand the contract that you signed when you incarnated into this world? That you have both a divine blueprint and free will, that you'll experience both fated events or circumstances and choice points in which you get to direct your perspective. Both. Card number 2. This is two beings. Your observing self and your acting self. The high priestess reminds you that you can step back, step away, step to the other side of the veil, close your eyes, meditate, consult with the universe to gain clarity beyond your emotional state, to give more than just this sliver of insight. The triple moon, all phases considered, all feelings considered, both the dark and the light and everything in between. The high priestess asks us to use our powers of intuition and spiritual connection to allow our own guidance to come from within. Now, if we develop this relationship on the inner, let me start over again. It's not a matter of if. This is the relationship on the inner, card number 2. Then we start moving more into the physical world as we get into the Empress and the subsequent cards. So the Empress brings in the physicality of the body. The Empress is linked with Venus, who in astrology is linked to abundance, pleasure, aesthetic beauty, as well as motherhood and nurture in so many ways. So the wheat here talks about what are we doing to sustain our bodies? This is filling our bellies. This is giving us the energy to move forward. The Empress is about motherhood as well. This is about the nurture of the emotions. How was your childhood? Are you loving yourself? Is there a soft mothering figure that's giving you the love, giving you the juice of life, this water and this emotion? Is there love being poured into you? Now, all beings have their different experience with their mothers within their childhood. But as adults who are reading and using tarot to interpret things, the Empress will speak to you about how you are parenting yourself, how you're guiding yourself with the mother essence intact, or how much of the mothering energy you're bringing to the way that you're guiding your life. Are you guiding yourself through the woods? Can you see the forest and the trees? Are you allowing yourself time to rest and sit down and luxuriate? Are you remembering your cosmic guidance, the star crown linking to the high priestess before it? Are you feeling the passion, the love, and the romance? Many of the symbols in the Empress card and the general feeling of it, again, linked to the mothering aspect of the parents, of the two dynamics that create life. Which brings us to the Emperor card. To be soft and nurtured and supported in a physical body also means that you need structure, which is what the Emperor provides. The Emperor is linked with the zodiac sign of Aries and the ram heads here. This is about leadership. This is about, yes, I'm willing to go first. I'm willing to show up and do the hard work of climbing these mountains and carving out a throne for my leadership. Now, the Emperor does not have the emotional connection that the Empress does. There is a certain amount of guarded here. There's a certain amount of safety and protection that is called for, as is warranted. We are not human bodies made of just skin and muscle and veins and arteries and all of those soft, squishy organs. We have bones. We have the hard stuff for a reason. We have the things that are strong and infallible to support us so that we have something to trust, so that we have a solid foundation to build ourselves from ego, spirit, and everything beyond. He holds the Ankh, which is the symbol of life itself. This is like the energy of the masculine providing a safe place for life to create from. The Emperor holds the place. Because it's an older being as well, this does present the idea of wisdom coming with time. That things that are meant to last will take some time to build. So, allowing for the structure of time. After we gain our solid foundation with the Emperor card, we then come to card number 5. Now, numerologically speaking, number 5 indicates change. In the first 5 cards, in the first 5 cards, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we are given the basics that we need to be a human being. The Hierophant card introduces us to the outside world. All of the figures in the previous 5 cards were just one solitary figure in the card, with the exception of the Fool, because the white dog companion is there, but there's only one human being in each of these cards. The Hierophant card is the first card that we see additional beings, meaning this is our first experience with others in the world. The change is from a self-centered perspective where we're only considering self to now, we're involved with other people. So this Hierophant figure is in a teaching position, in a hierarchy position. This is much the way we learn in our Western society by going to school, and there are professionals that are meant to be there to teach us the wisdoms in whatever area. The Hierophant in the tarot is specifically linked to a sense of religion, a sense of spiritual authority. This is like guidelines. On a high end, the Hierophant asks us to remain teachable, asks us to allow ourselves to be informed by the world at large and those experts within it that would love to guide us to the keys to our freedom. However, there's a warning present in the Hierophant as well. Not all of us are the same. We don't all walk the same path. We don't all have the same keys. Sometimes we need different information. We need different teachers. So the Hierophant card can warn you of dogmatics. It can warn you of having too much of a structure, placing someone on too high of a throne or a platform, and putting their wisdom up above our own. It's a warning and a lesson, all in one in the Hierophant. And this is where the change again comes from, like, simple, straightforward, here's the one thing, to now here's many things to consider. This is like the immersion into Earth School with the Hierophant card. Which brings us to the choice points present in the Lovers card. When we reach the card of the Lovers, this is talking about duality. Not necessarily opposite sides of a spectrum, but different things that can coexist and co-create at the same time. So you have the masculine figure here represented with the fire, and those flames on the tree are like the passion of the will, the desire to move forward, the desire also to burn down old structures, to burn down old existing things that are dead and no longer rejuvenated. You can see even by the tree bark here that this thing is long dead and it needs to go. This tree is vital with life. You've got the snake slithering up the tree. This is likened to the Garden of Eden story where the snake is speaking to this figure. This angel in the clouds brings up the ability to communicate clearly. This is either fog in between them, preventing clear communication, just like this mountain of challenge between them, or the, travels the path here, or this can be roots that are linking them. This can be the mountain that they rise on together when they do come together to co-create. The angel is asking them to consider one another, consider destruction and life, consider the feminine aspects of life and the masculine. Come to the table and be vulnerable and naked. Don't hide, no shame. Be who you are in your differences, embrace and celebrate them. The Lovers is linked with the zodiac sign of Gemini, which my keywords for are divine curiosity. Divine curiosity provides us with choices. Do I like this? Do I not? Do I want more of this? Do I not? Do I want to travel this way? Do I not? Do I want to be alone? Do I not? Am I listening or am I not? The Lovers is all about choices and partnership and all the opportunities that provides us. And those opportunities provide us, once we choose what we want, with a clear direction forward, which brings in the Chariot card. The Chariot card is linked to the zodiac sign of Cancer and has all of the zodiac signs prominent on its belt and its outfit here. Also, this canopy of stars. This Chariot card is heavily linked to the cosmos as leadership, as divine guidance, also to the moon. Cancer and the moon are linked in astrology, and the moon is heavily present in this card, reminding us of the ever evolving cycles, as well as the very real power of illumination to guide us. A lot of hunting in the wild happens on the full moons. Most wild animals get their needs met most around the time of full moons when it's the brightest in the sky. Now, these aren't full moons indicated on this card, but this is all of the phases of illumination, because as it's represented down here, you're taking the good and the bad together. This charioteer isn't casting out the darkness, and it's not heavily relying on the light. This top spins in perfect harmony when both are considered. This card does link to the emotional experience of leaving home, leaving your comfort zone, of entering into a new phase or a new cycle of life, just like the moon does all of the time. This is talking about, look at the water back here. This is about the journey of the emotional experience of stepping forward into more of life. The Chariot card reminds us again of our willpower with all this solar plexus, and also the throat chakra here. Are we listening to what the stars are speaking? And are we setting forth our intention of where we want to go? Or are we allowing these things to drag us? Are we directing? Are we intending with our voice and our willpower? Or are we allowing the dance of good and bad, right and wrong, negative and positive to pull us, drag us? Are you a spinning top or are you flying? Are you going nowhere or are you moving forward? That's not a yes or no, bad or good answered question either. That's just consideration point. So along our travels moving forward, we start to meet ourselves in many different ways. And this is reminiscent of the black and white sphinxes in the previous card in the Chariot. But this is bringing two different parts of our human nature into mind, both the humanity of us and the animal within us. This is the instinct, the passion, the drive, the almost uncontrollable compulsion, desire, the need to get your needs met, represented here with Leo, Lion. The archetype of Leo is the one that needs to show up and show out, speak loudly, roar in order to get its needs met. And this figure, this larger than life, not a human being, towering over the world, this is purity, nature, growth, vitality. And look at how gentle these hands are. Look at how brave this softness is. Look at how strong this grace is. This is about not condemning the animal within us. As we move along our journey, there are experiences that will tempt us forward, and not until we're bitten or attacked do we sometimes know, like, that's not a choice I want to make. And the Strength card reminds us to forgive ourselves when our animal nature steps out of line, and that with gentleness, self compassion, self awareness, and forgiveness, we can always, with the infinite lemniscate there, we can always come back to a softer perspective. We can always soothe ourselves into our more civilized, self directed, self mastered perspective and forward motion. That self mastery journey deepens in the next card. This card is the Hermit. The Hermit card, number 9, links to the zodiac sign of Virgo. Service to the light. This is about analyzing on an internal level the journey that you've already taken and what you've experienced, what tools you've gained, the illumination that you hold within you, and how firm of a grasp you've got on your own willpower to guide you. This is a walking stick. It's a clutch. It's a crutch, rather. It's something to hold on to help guide you as you move along. And the Hermit has only these two tools and a shroud of gray. The gray reminding us that black and white are only two versions of the truth. There is an entire universe of gray to consider, to think on, to mull over, to incorporate, to integrate both the black and white. I love the snow white purity that he stands on, because when we take the journey in the inner world, when we go into our hermit cave, when we put our head down and we stop paying attention to the outside world, we're reminded of the purity of life itself, of the non biased, universal, harmonizing experience, and that same energy within us. We're not so good or bad. We're not so different. We are blended with everything, just the way that all of this color is muted together, but then we're these very unique individual expressions of light. And the Hermit card is where we come back to the comfortable quiet and in the silence we can remember these things about ourselves. We can remember our own inner wisdom and guidance system. But even with our will and our guidance system and our wisdom intact, the world is going to turn as it will. Which brings us to card number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. Card number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. In numerology, 10 doesn't exist, but in tarot it does, and it signifies completion. It is the one step beyond number 9 in numerology, which brings you back to the first number. But 10 is a completion in tarot. 10 is a double 5. Change happened, and then it changed again, so the world turned. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is got these wisdom pieces all around the corner. The books here remind me of the Akashic records of what is being written, but this is also like the divine working through everything, including you, so that each of our stories can be co-created as the world turns. This is another card that calls upon the previous one and its wisdom and perspective to help us understand where we feel we are. Are we at the bottom of the world trying hard to hold it all up? This looks like the devil in a way where that perspective of burden can be harmful to us and make us feel powerless. Or are we becoming masters of our wisdom, the Sphinx, with this sword of clarity here? Can we see that we're on top of it? Can we see that with enough perspective and enough allowance that the universe, spirit, source, creator, whatever you want to call it, is handling it all, and that we don't need to control it? We can't control it. It's not up to us. All we can do is clarify our perspective, direct our will, honor our emotional and internal guidance systems, and allow what's unfolding as the Wheel of Fortune turns. The Wheel of Fortune is followed by card number 11. This is the Justice card. And this is linked with the sign of Libra. The scales of justice determine the turning of the wheel for each of us individually. Justice is not the human concept that we put upon it. Justice is harmonizing. And this isn't a concept that I can explain in this video, so I won't try. It deserves its own video. But justice is not retribution. Justice is not retaliation. Justice is not an eye for an eye. Justice is whatever the universe needs to expand into a new experience. Whether that's completion, whether that's chaos and change, whether that's healing, it's not up to us. It is up to us how we invite clarity. It is up to us to expand our minds to consider more. Now, all of this red and yellow, this is a very hard concept to really allow to be integrated if our will and ego and desires are too strong, that they override. See this tiny little white shoe peeking out with all of this red and yellow? This is the truth. This is the purity. This is the non judgmental, non duality truth of the matter, which can be easily clouded and forgotten by our passion, our feelings, our wants, and our needs. But if we allow ourselves to put those human things on the back burner, the truth will always shine through. Which brings us to card number 12. This is how we put our human needs and emotions on the back burner. This is the Hanged Man. This is all about a change in perspective, a self-imposed time out. Let me walk away again and remember what I had learned in the Hermit card. Let me flip things up on their head. Let me still be out here, out in the world, but I want to see it from a different perspective. I'm emotionally open to a new interpretation of how I perceive the world. And my perception determines my vibration that emanates back out into the world, which informs the universe of what I'd like to receive back. The Hanged Man shows us our personal power, shows us our ability to take the time out to consider how we're vibing and how we'd like to maybe change that. Flip it around, skew it a little bit, change it around. It allows us to be reminded as well that we are the central figure of our own lives. We have the most power when we focus on our actions, our responses, the way that we speak, the way that we feel, the way that we show up in the world. Our personal power is central to us. It's not dependent on others. If and when we don't take this time out for ourselves, the journey will shift and change through these next cards in the major arcana. Again, these are all cycles that will always come back to ourselves, but I feel personally that the Hanged Man is where some people can get stuck in the journey by not taking enough time, by not allowing a pause, by not allowing a wider perspective to come into them and expand consciousness. And if that's the case, this next card, this next experience on the journey, is one that you will resist and will be unpleasant. Death is the ending of cycles. And we can either surrender or we can beg and plead and try to make our will avoid what's inevitable. Death could be a peaceful ending, but it comes in to bring an ending. It comes in to bring a black and white to whatever we've been ruminating in, considering, or not making decisions on, wherever divine justice has not yet been served because maybe we've been standing in the way with the Hanged Man instead of allowing ourselves to gain perspective. Even if we are allowing that perspective, even if we are stepping back so divine justice can come forward, death comes for all of us. We're human beings. We don't live forever. No plant, tree, animal, being lives forever in this one body and existence. Everything has its end time. Like this crown knocked off here. Whatever's in charge at one time isn't going to always be taking the lead. This is talking about new generations coming up. This is talking about new ideas. I like how this figure that's pleading to remain is so adorned with all the things that they think are so important. And the ones that are like, okay, what are you doing here? Curious. Like I'm just dressed with my open emotions, my curious heart, and with these flowers, with these roses. I have this high frequency of divine curiosity, purity of intention, and I want to see what this death card can bring. I want to see what this messenger is here for. I want to see what comes next. I want to see what new growth comes from an ending of a cycle. Is a healthy way to embrace the death card. Embracing or resisting, either way, it's going to come. And the death card gives us a deeper opportunity to consider, what do we feel and think this whole human journey is all about? Is there a point to it? Is there a purpose behind it? Does it have or carry meaning? In my personal opinion, yes, it absolutely does. And death is one of those cards and one of those experiences that can help us renew or find a greater, more peaceful, more hopeful, more fulfilling meaning in life if we've not found it yet. The death card is followed by card number 14, Temperance, linked to the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, which is the last fire element sign. And I associate the key word of wisdom with. Temperance is the patience involved with understanding that true wisdom is gained in time. And not just in time, but in time as you're traveling the journey. The mountains are far behind, the valleys are far behind. You can see all of this road that's been traveled. For this person to come here to this point with one foot on the ground and one foot on the water, being an alchemist, blending the elements on wings of passion and a halo of golden, open consciousness. It's been following the intuition all this way, and now stands here at a place of larger than life, purity, wisdom, open consciousness, seeking for greater experience, seeking for a greater depth of emotional understanding and clarity while practically grounded in the world. Temperance brings back the desire to have a handle on more than just one perspective. This is even blending perspectives together. It's allowing us to see how we can hold more than one thing at once, which links right into then the Devil card. This might be one of my favorite cards in the tarot. As I said in the Temperance card, it's teaching us how to hold two different things. The Devil card reminds us of all of the badness in the world, all of the evil, all of the powerlessness, all of the control, all of the unwanted, the dirty, the dark, the painful, the hurting, the sinful, the temptation, all of those things. All of that is first within us. It's within us from birth. And only once we identify it as something bad or unwanted does it actually become the devil. And when we push it away from us, it becomes something outside of us that we no longer have the control of. We would have had we loved it and integrated it into us, but what we resist and what we push away and cut off and away from ourselves becomes an entity of its own self. And any living creature, being, energy that is cast out of the love of light becomes a darker energy that we need to then find it in ourselves to figure out how to call back in, to take our power away from it and bring it back into ourselves. The Devil card is one of the most psychologically deep cards in the tarot, and I adore it. It's talking about the beast within us and how it's like perched above us unless we take these very loose chains off from around our neck and remember that this creature is us, our pet, if you will. This doesn't have to be bigger than us. It can be sublimated. As within, so without. As above, so below. This is the magician, the shadow magician. This is the shadow magician whose power we feared or rejected or neglected, never claimed. This is the anger. This is the rage of repression that becomes its own separate entity when we don't harness the journey of self mastery, become the hero, and we just commit to being a fool. We commit to being powerless. If we don't intend our own fool's journey, we give our power away to a devil outside of us of our own doing. And then we blame the world for creating the problems that we created. The devil card is a key turning point in the tarot. And whether you understand and integrate this archetype determines how this next card affects you. The Tower. The Tower is a point of, again, divine timing, where the universe has assessed, based on its plans for greater expansion and unfolding, whether what you've built in your ego or your life will withstand the changes coming next. Whether or not what you've built is meant to be carried into the next part of your journey. Is this really the crown on top of your head? Are you opened in the crown chakra? Are you listening to divine guidance? If you are, when the tower strikes, you'll know if this is being taken outside of my plans or against my will and intention, I know that it's happening for my best and highest good. Or the person who didn't learn from the devil card in the previous sessions, part of the cycle, sees this tower moment and becomes even more entrenched in the victim mentality. Poor me. Why is this happening to me? Why can't I have nice things? Why is this being taken? The universe, the world is an unfair place to live. Both perspectives can be correct. It is completely up to you and where you are at on either your fool's or hero's journey. No judgment from me. I've feared the tower. I've feared the devil. I now know I am them. I now know this is for me. The tower has the power to do what we can't do for ourselves. Those relationships that are harmful for us, that we're too afraid to walk away from, the tower takes them. Those jobs or homes that are too much of a burden for us to continue with, the tower takes them. The tower is a graceful card, a divine intervention. And if we choose to surrender and let go of those things that we were maybe clinging to, that we thought we were, the ego, the life that we built for ourselves, the who we really thought, I am this human being with this limited potential, and I'm stuck to this story and this timeline. It's inaccurate. And the tower reminds us everything can be taken and changed. And if you trust and believe that everything is always being worked out for you, I have goosebumps. We can really surrender to the tower to come through it and be renewed within the star card. Card number 17. This is a larger than life being who's pouring nurture and miracles and emotional well being, a never ending well of sustenance, fulfillment, joy, love, all over humanity, all over the earth. This is the cosmos coming down and gifting us with a new cycle, a new way, a new perspective, a new emotional feeling, a renewed sense of being able to be vulnerable, authentic, free, just as we are within the universe. The star is the miracle of life, renewal, liberation, new concepts and ideas, new ways of feeling the universe working with us as our partner, as a more powerful partner than we are, with a higher perspective than we will ever have. It asks us to trust, even when we, card number 18, cannot see the full picture. The moon talks to us about things that are hidden in the subconscious, the more animalistic parts of ourselves that cause us to lash out, pinch, strike, bark, howl. It's the gnawing and the clawing of our subconscious. It's the animal and the number messages. It's the little things that the intuition picks up on, the signals that the universe is throwing out to us all of the time to indicate where we stand between the pillars of justice and mercy, how we're traversing our path, what cycle and phase we're at in this moment of life. It asks us to look at where we are on the levels of our emotional well-being, our physical well-being, our spiritual well-being. How are we doing on this journey? It asks us to call into illumination the parts of us that aren't always on the forefront. The sun is linked with the ego. The moon is linked with the subconscious. This calls to mind what's hiding, what's not yet been illuminated. What have we yet to learn about ourselves? What have we yet to uncover? And how are we feeling moving into this next cycle and phase? Can we embrace what is to come next through the eyes of a child with the vitality of the sun? Card number 19, the sun is radiant. It talks about partnership. Look at this vital, strong life force energy behind this child. This child feels safe knowing that the sun is at its back, that its path in front of it is illuminated completely. It can see everything. It's ready to grow up and go on its own fool's journey. It has the freedom to do so. This white horse, it wants to grow tall and high and reach a beautiful, optimistic perspective, to wave its passionate flag of, I'm here, I'm excited, let's embrace this journey, let's embark on this. I want to show who I am. I'm excited to come and play in this ego personality that I get to be for the one and only time that I will exist, that anyone will exist as this person that I am in this life, in this moment, as the sun shines on the earth today. It's an opportunity to look forward into the world with optimism. The card that follows asks us, how are we doing with that? Are we pale, dead, buried? Is that child inside long dead? Can we hear it if it calls out to us now? Can we allow that desire for joy to resurrect us, to maybe listen to a new path, to rise from the grave of an ego death? All the things that the Tower card took from us, are we allowed Are we allowing ourselves to listen to the call to rise from that death into a new, higher, greater purpose? And what is that purpose? Look at this. All of the arms out. Embrace the experience. That's the purpose, if you're asking me. And maybe you're not. Maybe you're just watching a tarot video because you're curious. Embracing the experience as your teacher, as your guide, allowing it to connect all of the pieces with passion. Listen to the music, tune into the frequency, allow the universe to play you a harmony, allow yourself to harmonize. Don't worry about what other humans are doing. Look up, look in, rise above everything that would keep you down and dead and colorless and bland. Because you aren't just a human. You aren't just an ego. You're not just a person. You are the world, the universe. You are all elements and all beings. You are every direction. You are infinity. If we can get through these cycles of our journey and gain an ever increasing sense of safety with being vulnerably naked, authentic as we are, open to the experience of the universe, to the turning of the wheel, to the guides, to the fixed experiences through which we have the free will to make our own meaning, to orchestrate our own flow, to decide what it is we're surrounding ourselves with in terms of people, places, things, perspectives, emotions, how much desire we have to exert our will, not our control, but our will to set an intention in the world. Are we stitching it all together with our passionate intention? Are we allowing the world to open us, soften us, remind us that we're not alone, that there are actually beings and energies that are wanting for our depth of experience so that it and they can live through us in joyful expansion? Do we allow ourselves to make it through all of these experiences and not remain unchanged, but to bring us back to the ability to set foot again on another journey, trusting that we're held, trusting in our companionship, trusting in the tools that we've put into our toolbox, and the purity of experiencing this as a human being, and the joy that that can bring. I love the fool's journey. I love the hero's journey. I love coming to a deeper understanding of all of these archetypes within myself. The more I use the tarot for myself and other people, the more that I study the cards and the imagery, and I allow my intuition to speak to me about the meanings of the symbols and the way that the characters are facing and the how many of them and the numerology of it and the color theory and the all of it. All of it. It is so full, just like the human experience. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope that it was both informational and inspirational. I hope that it excites you and wants and makes you want to dive even further into the study of tarot. I'm in the process of creating a course right now that will more deeply bring you into the symbolism of all of the cards, including the minor arcana. but I wanted this video to just be a concise but enjoyable storyline of the human development of the psychological and emotional journey that the tarot guides us through. So I really appreciate your comments. Any new insights that you were given, I would love to hear if this was helpful for you, or, any new symbolism that you were given, or things that were important that maybe I didn't touch on that you'd love to share as well. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. It helps me a lot. Subscribe to the channel so you can get more videos that come out, both on astrology and tarot. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Thank you for walking your own fool's journey. Thank you for being a fellow human, curious enough to get to know yourself on a deeper level. Because just doing that, you're making the world a better place for me to live in, and I appreciate you for it. Take care.